Dear learners, welcome to this session on marketing research. You would have seen the other sessions and we'll be continuing our exploration on different topics in marketing research. In this particular session, we are talking about research design, particularly focusing on exploratory and descriptive research design. Now, the learning outcomes for this session are you should, as a result of this session, be able to define research design, be able to understand when are different designs applied, understand the comparison between exploratory and descriptive research design, and also be able to identify the methods that can be applied for a particular problem that we've chosen for this particular session. So let's go ahead. To define research design, as the name suggests, a research design and an overall plan or structure which guides the process of conducting research. In the earlier session, you defined how to identify a research problem. So that is the what of the research. The research design is the how of the research. Having identified the problem, how do you go ahead and conduct the research process is what research design is all about. So it's a specification of the methods and processes or procedures that are used for acquiring the information needed for addressing the research problem. This is a definition given by Green and his associates. Another more comprehensive definition, which I actually like better, is that a research design is a plan, a structure, and strategy of investigation so conceived as to obtain the answers to the research questions or problems. And ideally, it includes an outline of what the investigator will do right from the stage of writing a hypothesis to their operational implications to the final analysis of data. Definition given by Kerlinger in 1995. Therefore, when you formulate a research design, it should ensure certain things. First, it should be able to convert the research questions and stated assumptions into operational variables that need to be explored or measured. It should also specify the process that will be followed to complete the above task efficiently and economically. Efficiency is a very important aspect of any research design. Also, efficiency in terms of costs. So both economical and efficient. We should also be able to, through a research design, specify the control mechanism used to study, so that the effect of other variables that could impact the outcome of the study have been controlled. So you're studying certain variables, the dependent and the independent variable, but there are confounding or extraneous variables. We should be able to put in control mechanisms that will control the impact of those variables. Because there are a number of research design, let's understand how can we classify research design. Basically, all research design can be broadly classified into two categories. One is the exploratory design. The other category is the conclusive design. As the name suggests, exploratory designs are those designs where we try to explore the problem at hand. Not enough is not known about the problem. And therefore, we are actually venturing into collection of data, understanding the research problem significantly so that we can identify how to go forward. So this is usually the preliminary stage. Those designs are called exploratory designs. And mostly exploratory designs are qualitative by nature because we are into our field to try to explore, identify, and so on. Some aspects of it could also be quantitative. So mostly qualitative, and some components of exploratory design could also be quantitative. Conclusive research design, on the other hand, is mostly quantitative in character and can be broadly defined into two categories. One is the descriptive research design. The other is the causal research design. Under the descriptive research design, we have already been able to understand the variables that we will be studying. So we are seeking to describe and explain what these variables are and how are they, if in any way, connected. So descriptive research design, we are trying to basically explain, define, and find the relationship between the variables under study. Now, this again can be of two types. One is when you study a certain segment and do a cross-sectional analysis of that particular segment. So we do an in-depth study of the same group of people, and we could do it in two ways. We could just have a single cross-section that you study, or you could have multiple cross-sections that you study. These could be on the basis of demographics or socioeconomic variables or whatever. In a single cross-section, normally we do a single variable-based cross-sectional classification. A longitudinal descriptive research design, on the other hand, is a time series kind of a thing. You study a problem over a period of time and therefore are able to study it for, let's say, a given period. So it's rather, not a sectional study, it's a temporal study. So these are the two ways in which descriptive research design can be followed. The causal research design, as the name suggests, is focused on finding a cause and effect relationship. So we try to identify the relationships in the sense that one variable is causing a given impact on other variables. So this cause and effect relationship is studied through experimentation or quasi-experimentation and so on. So this is what causal research design is all about. In your earlier sessions on marketing research, we had referred to a caselet. I will, just for your remembering that again, for a reference, I would repeat that caselet that we've been using as an illustrative case study. You can assume that during your last vacation, you went back home where you visited a farmhouse owner who is your usual supplier of local fruit and vegetable. His name is Mohan. Mohan ventured into organic farming. He earlier used to buy in bulk from outside vendors and then sell it to the localities in his own retail outlet. And he thought that he'll become an entrepreneur himself, and he set up an organic farming venture. He went into it with great enthusiasm, but after 2 years of organic farming, he realizing that he was not benefiting from his own farming venture, because organic produce is far superior in quality, but it also attracts a higher price. So he found that it wasn't selling well. He had maybe overestimated the demand. The price point, which is higher than conventionally farmed option, seemed to be a major deterrent. When he heard that you were there and he learned that you are enrolled in a very good marketing management program, he thought he'll take advantage of your expertise. And he asked you whether you, with your marketing management expertise, could help him in creating a demand for these products. So you get into a action research situation, and the questions that you grappling with as a researcher is, what are the challenges Mr. Mohan is facing relating to his organic fruit and vegetable business? What is the kind of data or information that you would need to generate for him so that it would help him in analyzing the situation, or it would help you in analyzing the situation? And therefore, what is the kind of research design that you can develop to address these challenges in this given situation? So let's apply our understanding of research design. And what are the possible research design options that Mohan can actually experiment with? What are his options? The first option that we would look at is exploratory research design. Because right now, neither you nor Mohan know very much about what is the extent of the problem, what are the variables that are impacting this problem, what is it that is depressing the demand. You have a general idea, but you do not know enough. So when you need to investigate a problem that is not clearly defined or understood. So that's where we apply exploratory research design. And because we are exploring, we are open to the idea of looking at all the possible variables. So it helps us in getting great insights or actionable insights, understanding also the scope of the problem, and how do we therefore form assumptions. These are assumptions that we call hypotheses. So how do we create these assumptions is what exploratory research design helps you in doing. So this caselet that we have just discussed is a typical illustration on when exploratory designs can be used, but you as a student of marketing must also understand that there are typical problems within marketing which require an exploratory research design. These are market feasibility study for a new product. You're bringing out a new product. not much is known about what would be the consumer's reception of this product, how would they compare it to competing products and so on. So that is again a situation which is wide open. Therefore, exploratory research design is very, very suitable here. When you want to understand consumer behavior with respect to a particular product or a particular service or a particular phenomena. So again, a new product adoption situation or changing the design of a product in a major way. So because you do not know enough, you would be using exploratory research design. Again, you are new to the market. Let's say you've signed the acquisition of a foreign product, which is doing very well. It's a fast-moving consumer good. You're bringing it to India. But you do not know what are the possible market segments that would be open to this product idea. So when you're trying to identify these segments, because the segmentation abroad may not work out in India, and therefore these identification of these potential segments would also need an exploratory research design. So what are the approaches that you can suggest to Mohan? The first approach is a focus group discussion approach, where these discussions are held with significant individuals associated with the problem under study. So we are talking about significant individuals who could be existing consumers or potential consumers or consumers who are currently buying the traditionally grown vegetables and fruits but have a health consciousness and would like to consider this option. So people who have some idea of what organic fruits and vegetables are all about, and therefore you don't have to introduce the consumption idea to them. So we're talking about significant individuals. Most focus groups are 6 to 8 people, consist of 6 or 8 people. And we do this focus group interview or discussion with the help of a trained person who's adept at getting people's responses out. So this kind of focus group discussion helps in understanding the dynamics of the market and what is the underlying consumer behavior and why does it happen. So we are trying to understand not only what, but the whys of consumer behavior. Therefore, this discussion, which is aided by a moderator, would help you identify what are the underlying perceptions of people. What do people think of organic as a construct? Most people do not or may not understand organic in the sense of why is it called organic? Is it because it is grown using different inputs? Is it only organic inputs which are being used? What are the extent of substitution that is done and so on? So what is people's existing perception about organic, so that when you do your marketing promotion, you will be able to understand the perceptions that need to be changed or that need to be rectified and so on. What is the related trust that people have in a given supplier of organic products? There are a lot of people who believe that it's a name. People continue using chemical products, but if they are mostly organic, they would still call it organic. And therefore, what is the trust that people have in a given supplier? Any other perceptual barriers that people have? How do I know that the inputs that are being used are safe and healthy? So those are the first kind of input that you may be able to generate. We also need to understand, because this is a relatively newer concept, we need to know, apart from price, it's mentioned in the caselet that price is a barrier. But apart from price, is there any variables that help or deter this kind of purchase? So are health benefits an issue? Are concerns relating to environment, that chemical farming actually spoils the environment? Or is that too far-fetched for people to consider in their daily vegetable buying? So all of that. Is there a combination of factors? So focus group discussions, because these are free-flowing discussions aided by the moderator who then keeps on taking notes and so on, should be able to uncover some of these decision-making factors. We also would be able to understand how great is the price sensitivity. Is it a major hurdle, or do we have a situation where people will be willing to pay a little more, but not too much more? So, what is the kind of premium that people are willing to pay for a special benefit like health consciousness or safety of the environment or sustainability of this kind of consumption over a long period of time? How would you advise Mohan to conduct this kind of, or how would you help this research design conduction? You would identify 4, 5, 6 focus groups, each consisting of 6 to 8 people, and with the help of a trained moderator, start a discussion, let it be free-flowing, let people express their opinions. And usually focus group discussions are reasonably spread out, could be an hour, 90 minutes or so. So all that they have to say can be collected. And then you collate all that information and find actionable insights out of this. The other option that is tried is an in-depth interview. Instead of collecting groups of people, you identify individuals that you would be talking to. And it's called an in-depth interview is because you introduce a certain question and then you keep on exploring components or from the responses that are given, you get an additional insight, and then you keep on probing this further. In-depth interviews help researchers gain a comprehensive understanding of the organic market landscape from various stakeholders. When I say you don't only question the customers, you question a number of stakeholders. Also, when we are talking about an in-depth interview, we try to create a controlled setting for gathering the kind of information that you are seeking. You have tailored questions for different kinds of participants. So when the stakeholders are different, your questions would differ. What helps is that you have a sort of a question schedule in mind, and you do not completely rigidly stick to that. You keep on altering your questions as the responses come from the different stakeholders. So you try to conduct a in-depth interview with several stakeholders, which could be the owner-producer, that means Mohan himself, and other producers like him who then would say what are the challenges they felt. But in this case, we talk to Mohan and talk to him in terms of what were his expectations, what were the barriers he faced, and so on, and keep on probing till you look at the contours of the problem. You talk to competitors. Now, competitors here could be the traditional vegetable suppliers or other people who are into the organic fruit market. We talk to retailers, people who are actually selling them in the shop, and they have both counters, the organic counter and the traditional food counter. So they could be a stakeholder. And of course, your consumers, both existing customers and potential customers, could be a stakeholder. Now, when you use exploratory research design, what are the kind of outcomes you can expect? What is the kind of information you may be able to gather? When you talk to various kinds of people and you find out that these are the type of customers who have already gone in for organic buying of fruits and vegetables, these are people who are considering buying and buy them off and on, but not as a regular feature. There are other people who have traditionally grown vegetable buying and so on, but may be contemplating to go in for organic. So you can then identify their characteristics and you have a clearer understanding of target customers' demographics, what age, education, income, their consumption values, and what are their buying habits. Do they buy every day? Do they buy now and then? And so on. What is the pricing strategy that you can follow? Because now you have data-driven insights into the sensitivity of price and the potential price points that will optimize your profit margins. Similarly, what is the unique selling proposition that relates to people? Is it health? Is it environment? Is it price? Is it sustainability? So how do I create that differentiation in my product, which is the most relevant to people? Now, that was all about exploratory research design. We can also look at descriptive research design options. It is when you have a slightly clearer understanding of the problem or phenomena that we need to describe, that we need to take up, and we need to describe. We use the descriptive research design to describe the characteristics of the problem in detail. As I had said in the introduction, descriptive research design usually involves collecting quantitative data so that we can use this quantitative data to describe trends, patterns, and relationships between variables. It's also suitable for large-scale studies. For example, sample studies, when they are done, the National Sample Survey and so on, you actually use descriptive research design. You also use descriptive research design when you need a precise measurement and detailed description of the variables involved. There are several options, and we'll be discussing one or two. The first option, which some of you may be actually familiar with, because we become respondents to a large number of customer surveys. So the option one is consumer survey, and the objective is to gather a range of relative and relevant consumer opinions, in this case on organic produce, to efficiently gauge what is the market segment across a larger sample size. The target sample could be either consumers or people who are residents in the same locality but could be potential customers. Now, what we do in a consumer survey is we create a very well-designed structured questionnaire, and we use multiple channels to administer that questionnaire. For example, you can have a face-to-face interview, face-to-face survey conducted. You could go to an in-store location where these products are sold and distribute the questionnaire and get this survey filled up. We could also have online surveys, which can actually be distributed to a larger number of people, and we can conduct this survey with the help of a structured questionnaire. Okay, what is the information that you want to study? For example, in this case of organic farming, fruits and vegetables, we can decide our own objectives, and therefore your questionnaire may seek information on awareness. Number one, how familiar are your customers with organic farming practices and their benefits? What is the degree of knowledge? What is the potential health benefits? What is the kind of purchase behavior they display? Do they do it? Currently, are they into organic buying? Do they do it everyday basis or weekly basis or what? How sensitive are they to price? And what is the price point they're willing to pay? What are their preferred channels? Do they like to buy this online, in-store, order it for home delivery or what? The other option in descriptive research design is in-depth interviews. We had just discussed in-depth interviews in exploratory research design. Here, the subject matter of the interviews would change because you are wanting to get a deeper understanding of what motivates the consumers to select or reject a given choice. In-depth interviews allow for fairly rich qualitative insights in addition to the quantitative insight that you may have got through the surveys and so on. In-depth interviews consist of smaller number of samples which are carefully identified. And again, you could either use your existing customers or potential organic produce buyers, or you may have a mix of these two and then different income levels and shopping habits and select your potential interviewees. Now, you use a semi-structured question schedules and trained interviewers. We then collect data over longish sittings, that means 90 minutes or so, and keep on probing till you get the desired information. Therefore, when you are using in-depth interviews, not in exploratory but in descriptive design, what are the outcomes you can expect? We can actually get several instances of recurring themes, and we can use these patterns to reveal what are the perceptions of value, what is the value proposition that consumers respond to the best in terms of organic produce versus conventional produce. Are there specific health benefits that they are seeking in terms of addition to immunity or better digestibility of food and so on? Again, price sensitivity factor, we've talked about this, but you can sort of explore it to greater extent and find out what is the influence that price sensitivity has on the willingness to pay for organic produce. Again, shopping preferences on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, from a store, from online, at home delivery, what is it that people would prefer? Now, at this stage, since you've studied both exploratory research design and descriptive research design, let's summarize the key differences, and I've put them in a table for your better understanding. The exploratory research design normally is done at an early stage because that is a stage where you do not really have a very clear idea of the problem. So if you look at the first column, the purpose, the nature, stage, outcome, and method, these are the variables on which we are comparing the two. As far as the purpose of exploratory research design is concerned, the purpose is to explore a problem or a phenomena. In case of descriptive research, we are seeking to describe the characteristics of the problem or the various functional aspects of the problem. The nature, exploratory research design is largely qualitative in character, while the descriptive research design is largely quantitative in character. As I mentioned, the exploratory research design is usually applied at early stage where the problem is unclear. When you define the problem and you're seeking to understand what are the variables that are related to the problem, we use descriptive research design. So later, it's a later stage in the research process when the problem has become relatively better defined. The outcomes are we get preliminary insights and we are able to generate hypotheses. In case of descriptive design, we are able to get detailed descriptions of the variables under study, and we are able to perform data analysis. The methods that we can apply in case of exploratory research design are focus groups. We explained that, and that's a very good way of sort of being able to define the problem in an interview with informed individuals. Interviews, again, in-depth interviews to explore, identify, iron out what are the different contours of the problem. Literature review is again a good strategy for exploratory research, that you look at what has already been published, what are the aspects of this related problem that have already been studied, and what do people have to say about that. So that's another way of understanding the contours of the problem. In case of descriptive research design, we could have surveys, observation, interviews, and also utilize secondary data, already published literature, which is available in the public domain to be able to study. Now, if I want to quickly summarize this session, we use this session to, number one, try to understand what is research design. So as a concept, what is research design? We define the research design in a variety of ways. We also try to see what are the different ways in which research designs can be classified. So depending upon what is your objective at a given point in time, to explore, to describe, to find cause and effect relationship, you can have different categories of classification of research design. We then use this session to discuss in some detail the exploratory research design and the descriptive research design. We did it with context to an identified case problem of an organic farmer trying to finding it difficult to sell his organic produce, even though there are stated health benefits. So we took that as a problem situation and tried to identify what could be the exploratory research design options that he could apply, what could be the descriptive research design options that could apply. And we looked at 2 or 3 options in each case. We also looked at what are the possible outcomes that he could have from the exploratory research design options and from the descriptive research design option. Finally, we compared the 2 options and tried to understand when, how, what format can be applied under these 2 design options. I hope this session was useful to you, in introducing you to research design as a theme and the two initial options, the exploratory research design and the descriptive research design. We'll follow up this session by investigating the causal research design. So happy learning to all of you. We'll meet again soon. Thank you.